In the world of video games, he's known as Al-Mu'allim, the wise and enigmatic mentor who ultimately betrays his cause. But the real man, Rashid ad-Din Sinan, was far more complex and fascinating than any fictional character. His story is a whirlwind of political intrigue, religious devotion, and masterful strategy, set against the backdrop of the Crusades. Forget what you think you know. Today, we're uncovering the true story of the Old Man of the Mountain. Rashid ad-Din Sinan was born around the year 1130 in Basra, in what is now modern-day Iraq. Unlike the video game's portrayal of a man who lived for centuries, Rashid was very much a mortal man, though his influence would feel almost supernatural to his enemies. He was a Shia Muslim, and from a young age, he was drawn to the Nizari Ismaili sect, a branch of Shia Islam often misunderstood and feared by both Sunni Muslims and Christian Crusaders. The Ismailis were known for their deep esoteric beliefs, their hierarchical structure, and their commitment to a spiritual leader, the Imam. For Rashid, this path was a calling. He traveled to the heart of the Nizari state, the legendary fortress of Elamet in Persia. This wasn't just a castle, it was the nerve center of the Ismaili movement, a place of intense learning, spiritual training, and political strategy. At Elamet, Rashid studied under the Ismaili leadership, absorbing their doctrines and proving himself to be an exceptionally gifted and devout student. He was charismatic, intelligent, and fiercely loyal, qualities that did not go unnoticed. In the 1160s, the Nizari Imam recognized Rashid's potential and gave him a mission of immense importance. He was to travel to Syria and take command of the Nizari Ismaili community there. Syria at this time was a chaotic and dangerous place, a battleground for crusaders, local Sunni rulers like Nur al-Din, and soon, the rising power of Saladin. The Syrian Ismailis were scattered, vulnerable, and in desperate need of a strong leader. Rashid was that leader. Upon arriving in Syria, Rashid didn't just take command. He transformed the Syrian branch of the Ismailis. He established his headquarters in a network of mountain fortresses, including Masyaf, which would become his most famous stronghold. From these impregnable castles, he began to consolidate his power. He was a master of diplomacy and espionage, creating a vast network of spies and loyal followers known as Fidias. These Fidias were not mindless drones, they were highly trained, deeply devoted agents willing to undertake perilous missions for their cause. Their willingness to sacrifice their lives gave rise to the legends of the Hashashin, or assassins, a name that struck fear into the hearts of kings and sultans. Rashid's main goal was simple: to secure the survival and autonomy of his community. He was a pragmatist, forced to navigate a treacherous political landscape. He couldn't rely on a massive army. So, he used surgical strikes and political maneuvering. His most famous targets were the powerful figures who threatened his people. For instance, he twice attempted to eliminate the great Saladin, the Sultan of Egypt and Syria, who was actively campaigning against the Ismailis. The first attempt failed. But the second is the stuff of legend. Saladin, confident in his security, awoke one night in his tent to find a poisoned dagger stuck in the ground beside his bed. Pinned to it was a note from Rashid. The message was clear: "We could have killed you, but we chose not to. Do not threaten us again." Terrified and impressed, Saladin understood the message. He eased his pressure on the Ismailis, and a fragile truce was formed. This wasn't a story of blind fanaticism, it was a calculated act of psychological warfare from a brilliant strategist. Rashid knew that fear could be a more powerful weapon than any sword. But Rashid wasn't just an enemy of Sunni rulers. He also played a dangerous game with the Crusaders. He saw them as another piece on the chessboard. At times, he allied with them against common enemies like Saladin. At other times, he targeted them directly. In 1192, his Fidias were responsible for the death of Conrad of Montferrat, the newly elected king of Jerusalem. This act sent shockwaves through the Crusader states and cemented the assassin's fearsome reputation in the West. Yet, to his own people, Rashid was not a fearsome tyrant. He was a beloved spiritual and political leader, known as Sinan, the spearhead. He was a teacher, a poet, and a man of deep faith. He led his community through decades of turmoil, ensuring their survival against overwhelming odds. He built libraries, promoted learning, and maintained a state that, while small, was independent and resilient. He was seen as the embodiment of the Imam's will, a guide who protected his flock with unwavering resolve. And like the power-hungry Al-Mu'alim from the game, who sought a mythical artifact to control minds, Rashid's power came from genuine loyalty and shared belief. He didn't need a magical apple. He had the hearts and minds of his followers. His authority was built on trust, spiritual guidance, and a proven ability to protect his community in a world that wanted to destroy it. He was a master of the long game, using alliances, assassinations, and diplomacy as tools to achieve his ultimate objective, the preservation of the Nizari Ismaili way of life. Rashid ad-Din Sinan died of natural causes in his fortress at Masyaf around 1193, shortly after his greatest rival, Saladin. He left behind a legacy that was shrouded in myth and fear by his enemies but revered by his followers. The legends of the Old Man of the Mountain and his loyal assassins would echo through history, inspiring tales of shadowy organizations and secret wars for centuries to come. So, the next time you see the white-robed figure of Al-Mu'alim, remember the real man behind the myth. Rashid ad-Din Sinan was not a video game villain. He was a brilliant leader, a master strategist, and a devoted spiritual guide who carved out a place for his people in one of the most turbulent periods in history. His story is a powerful reminder that reality is often more complex, more dramatic, and more fascinating than fiction. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the past. If you enjoyed uncovering the true story of the Old Man of the Mountain, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into the real history behind our favorite games and legends. See you next time.